it's Antonis.
Thank you very much. Thank you for the invitation. Thank you for sharing the panel. Dear organizers, thank you very much for an excellent conference and gathering of academics, students alike interested in the areas that we're discussing today. I know it might be that in Cyprus that is very famous for its weather and its heat waves. It might be that the temperature is lower in Cyprus than Toulouse, but it's nice to be at the Université de Toulouse to participate in this very interesting conference. And I'm talking about, and congratulations to my esteemed colleagues for their excellent presentations and interactions, interventions so far. And I'm going to talk about the theoretical rather aspects of the use of artificial intelligence in relation to the transformation of legal reasoning, including the opportunities, risks, but also the future of law in light of all those tectonic, I would say, developments in the sphere of technology and law. So I will start by emphasizing the fact that AI is rapidly transforming legal systems across the world. Today, AI can search thousands of judicial decisions within seconds, predict litigation results and outcomes, analyze contracts, draft legal documents, and even generate legal arguments. For some, this represents an unprecedented opportunity, greater efficiency, lower costs, and improved access to justice. And already issues of equality, equal access to justice have been outlined. But for others, however, it raises a very profound concern. What happens to legal reasoning when legal interpretation increasingly depends on machines? And my argument today is very simple, but I believe fundamentally important. Artificial intelligence is not merely changing the practice. It is transforming the very architecture of legal reasoning itself. And if this transformation is to remain legitimate, algorithmic outputs must be translated into forms compatible with traditional legal reasoning and the rule of law. Initially, AI entered legal practice as a tool of automation. It reduced repetitive work. Legal professionals increasingly use AI for document review, due diligence, contract analytics, and legal research. Tasks that once took weeks can now be completed in hours. But we're now entering into a different phase. AI is not longer simply automating legal work. It increasingly participates in what we may call legal cognition, the intellectual process for which legal outcomes are reasoned, structured, and anticipated. Predictive systems can identify patterns in judicial behavior. Generative AI can formulate arguments. Algorithms increasingly shape the information environment in which lawyers and judges understand legal disputes. The question, therefore, is no longer can AI help lawyers, but the question is how does AI change the way law itself is interpreted? Traditionally, legal reasoning is not merely about reaching outcomes. It's about justifying outcomes. Law operates through the application of legal norms to establish facts. Judges do not simply predict solutions. They explain why a particular conclusion is justified. Legal reasoning is interpreted. It involves statutory construction, analogical reasoning, precedent, balancing competing rights, and normative judgment. The distinction matters enormously because legal legitimacy is based not only on what decision is reached, but why that decision has been reached. A correct answer without intelligible justification remains problematic in legal systems committed to transparency, accountability, and fairness. This brings us to a critical tension. Artificial intelligence excels at prediction. Law requires justification. AI systems can identify patterns in previous judicial outcomes and estimate probabilities of success, but prediction is not interpretation. A machine may identify that courts decide in a particular way 80% of the time, yet legal vision asks a different question. Should this outcome be reached in this case, and why? Law is fundamentally normal. Algorithms are fundamentally statistical. This creates a conceptual divide. If legal interpretation becomes excessively outcome-driven, we risk moving toward what might be called probabilistic justice, where statistical regularity substitutes legal reasoning. And that, I would argue, creates significant risks for the legitimacy of adjudication. Many advanced AI systems operate as so-called, that has been mentioned before, the black boxes. They generate outputs without fully transparent reasoning processes. This becomes deeply problematic in legal settings. Imagine an AI-assisted recommendation influencing sentencing, asylum claims, employment disputes, or regulatory enforcement. If affected individuals cannot understand how the decision emerged, how can they challenge it? How can lawyers contest it? How can judges justify reliance on it? The rule of law requires more than efficient outcomes. It requires contestable and explainable decisions. A legal system in which reasoning becomes opaque risks undermining procedural fairness itself. A second challenge concerns algorithmic bias. This has been also outlined before, so I will skip this section by emphasizing the fact that despite the fact that AI systems learn from historical data, legal history is not neutral, so that's a fundamental premise upon which I will build our discussion in relation to discrimination biases, in relation to automation biases, and so on, which brings us to the point that it is constitutional and ethical question at the end of the day, and that has been across the European Union, actually, the regulatory response that we've been talking about all this time, about the EU AI Act, for example, in comparison of taking into account GDPR, the regulation of the protection of data, and especially Article 22 of GDPR, which limits certain forms of solely automated decision-making. But nevertheless, the EU AI Act introduces a risk-based regulatory framework whereby high-risk AI systems require transparency, accountability, documentation, and meaningful human oversight, which reflects a very important principle stating that the law of automation cannot replace accountability. And technology may assist in the reasoning, but responsibility must remain human. Therefore, that brings me to my central proposal for today's intervention. We should understand AI not as a substitute for legal professionals, but as an assistive and augmentative tool. AI should enhance legal analysis, not replace normative judgment. This requires what I describe as a human-centered model of AI reasoning based upon 5 principles, namely explainability by design, human in the loop by extension, so there has to be the human element when we're using AI, machine learning, machine systems, traceability and auditability, bias indication mechanisms, and translation of algorithmic outputs into traditional legal reasoning. The final point is crucial. Algorithmic recommendations must always be reformulated into legally intelligible reasoning grounded in facts, legal principles, and normative justification. Machines may assist, but law must speak the language of law. That brings us concluding to the future of the law. I do not believe AI will replace lawyers or judges, as has elaborated earlier. Nor do I believe that judges will actually disappear, but legal professions will undoubtedly transform. The lawyer of the future may become less of an information monopolist and more of a normative interpreter, strategist, and guardian of legal legitimacy. Similarly, judges may increasingly engage with AI-generated insights, but yet the human responsibility to interpret, justify, and balance competing values will remain indispensable, because legal disputes are never purely technical. They involve morality, proportionality, dignity, and justice. And these remain fundamental human concerns. I hope so, at least. Let me conclude with this thought. Artificial intelligence undoubtedly offers extraordinary opportunities for legal systems. Greater efficiency, greater consistency, potentially greater access to justice. But if law becomes governed by opaque systems incapable of meaningful explanation, we risk sacrificing legitimacy for efficiency. The future of law, therefore, should not be understood as a choice between humans and machines. Rather, it should be understood as a challenge of preserving the normative foundations of legal reasoning within an increasingly algorithmic world. Because ultimately, law must not only produce outcomes, law must continue to justify them. Thank you very much, Mr.
Thank you very much for the speech. I think we will have